Hi, this is Forrest Price with your Monday Moments. Today we're going back to the 7 Deadly Sins series, and the sin today that we will discuss is lust. Yes, lust. And I'm sure we've all have experienced that or had some kind of desire to lust either sexually or because you can lust in many different ways. But I'm going to try and only focus on what most people define lust as, and that's to have a sexual appetite and desire to want to have sex or wish to have sex. So, there's a thin line between lust and love, and a lot of people don't know the difference. And at times in my life, I didn't know the difference, or I thought I had lust when it might have been love, or love when it might have been lust. So let's do a quick overview between the difference between lust, of what signs of lust and what signs of love is. A sign of lust: when you're totally focused on a person's looks and body. Love: if you want to spend quality time together other than sex. Lust: you're interested in having sex but not in having conversations. Love: you get lost in conversations and forget about the hours passing by. Lust: you'd rather keep the relationship on a fantasy level, not discussing real feelings. Love: you want to honestly listen to each other's feelings and make each other happy. Lust: you want to leave soon after sex rather than cuddling or breakfast the next morning. Love: he or she motivates you to be a better person. Lust: you are lovers but not friends. Love: you want to get to meet his or her family and friends. So that is a quick love versus lust analogy, and I could probably spend an hour on every single example, but I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to keep these shorter. So let's go to a couple more differences. The difference between love and lust is that lust seeks the pleasure of self, while love puts the pleasure of the other ahead of oneself. Lust views the human in the moment as an object. In love, the human is always a subject and is always more than what they are in that moment. Lust ultimately is selfish, while love is selfless. There is no fine line between the two, but rather a bold one. And the soul, the heart, and the mind always knows the difference. Now, I'll say in some cases it does not. When I was younger, and I do mean younger, I had a very lustful mind. I tried to have as many women as I could and didn't really care about their feelings, cared about my own. Now, I didn't really fall in love till my first love wasn't until right after high school. And that's a long story on its own. But it didn't take me long to know the difference. The feeling's different. I only cared about that one person. It totally took over my life, and it really hampered my schoolwork because I just started college, and it hampered friendships, family, and a lot of things because I fell so hard for this person. So you have to be careful. You really do. And now let's get back on lust. Now, when I was lustful, and a lot of times, well, almost in every case, right after love, you fall right back into lust. But what I think I found out in the older life is that I actually lust for love. I'm not the most emotional person in the world, so at times it's hard for me to express to the masses, but to the people I actually do love, it's pretty obvious. So, what do we lust for? There are tons of things we lust for. We lust for money. We lust for food. We lust for exercise. We lust for promotions. We lust for a ton of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual, even though in most cases it is. And a desire for sex is selfishness, especially if you're in a relationship or are married. You know, it's a sin to lust for someone else's wife or husband. You know, that person is taken in the eyes of God, and for you to even ponder the thought or even flirting, there's just something really wrong with that. Now, I have a very big ego, and I've admitted this on many occasions. You know, in my lustful days, I mean, I literally would go to a club and would just smirk and wait for the women to come to me. And I'm being honest, you know, and it was wrong. It was wrong. It wasn't being a gentleman. It was me being an egomaniac. And that's certain things that I've worked in with my life. And I'm fully committed to God and His works. You know, when I say I lust for love now, that is what I do lust for. So I would never go back to that self. But we have to be careful what we lust for. Because, and women, you got to be careful what you lust for too. You know, wear what you want, but you know what's provocative and what's not. You know what's over the top and what's not. You know, and that's not an excuse for a man to go after you if he already has somebody, but you pretty much know what you're doing. You know, and when you lust for tall, dark, and handsome, I mean, mind you, we all have our own preference. You know, but if the man has to have a six-pack, or he has to be a certain height, or anything else that you lust for, I mean, if you can get it, get it. But, you know, there are plenty of good men out there. Plenty of good men out there. And you are, I wouldn't say wasting your time, but you are limiting yourself to something that could be great. A great husband, a great father, you know. And like I said, I have my own preference too. I'll share it. What really gets me, I like a woman with a sense of innocence about them. Whether it's their looks, their voice, their mannerisms, it just drives me crazy. Now, mind you, when you get to know them, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're not as innocent as they look or sound. So it is what it is. And also like I like a woman who actually comes after me. And I think that goes back to my days where I didn't have to approach women, they would approach me. So that really turns me on. So be careful of what you lust for. And men, you know, you don't want to grow old alone. You really don't. You know, you don't want to grow old and have a bunch of kids and you have no relationships with them. Because you did what you did and you ran. You know, and now later in life you're wondering, the what ifs. So be careful what you lust for, and choose love. I mean, if you really listen to those differences between lust and love, they're very, and I probably need to just do a series on those 5 examples on both, because again, I think I could talk for an hour. So I'm done. I'm gonna go to my Bible verses. First off is Psalms 101 verse 3. I will not look with approval on anything that is vile. I hate what faithless people do. I will have no part in it. Matthew 5:28. But I will tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. 1 Corinthians 6:13. You say food for the stomach and the stomach for food, and God will destroy them both. The body, however, is not meant for sexual immorality, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. I hope, I wouldn't say help, this subject helped, but it gives you some insight, because a lot of times you try to reflect on your life from what you've done or what you should have done or what you shouldn't have done. And when I say I'm not very emotional, the one emotion I do feel with an abundance is guilt, which is a subject I'll do later on. So you don't want to be filled with guilt, because a lot of times you can't change that guilt or go back and redo stuff you've done in the past. So all right, everyone stay blessed this week. And again, I appreciate all the likes and everyone who actually just views the videos. So I will continue as long as I can. All right, pray for brother. Have a great week. Come on, turn off.